kid exercise too much?
Well, if you just exercise, doing a variety of things, probably no, they can't exercise too much. However, kids can get overuse injuries, and so you do want to avoid that. If a child is playing like a year-round one sport, or if they're doing multiple teams with one sport, then they can definitely get overuse injuries. So you really want to avoid that. And one way to avoid that is either to alternate sports, different seasons, baseball and baseball season, soccer and soccer season. Or if a kid doesn't want to be really active, then they could do two different sports during one season instead of having your child on two different teams, because you really want to be careful of those overuse injuries, or it may stop them from doing that sport for their life if they get the wrong injuries.
Is it important for kids to stretch? They seem so flexible, and when they're young, do they need to stretch first?
Stretching is important. I usually recommend after they're a little warmed up, then to do some stretching, or especially even if they don't do it that way after the sport, it is good to stretch. And you also want to make sure that the child is using proper technique. So sometimes we'll have kids come in and they'll always get like a certain knee pain whenever they're doing something. In that case, they should really be talking to their coach or to an expert in that area, but also the stretching is important, proper equipment, all that kind of stuff. You'd want to make sure you're on top of those things. But even just having your kid get outside and play with the kids in the neighborhood, or you guys going for walks or things like that, it doesn't have to be a formalized sport or exercise to be getting exercise. It can even be dancing in the house. There's a lot of stuff people can do that it's just whatever somebody likes. A kid just needs to sort of choose something, that's active and do that.
Just going back really quickly to the video games, I often hear arguments that video games are educational, they're good for eye-hand coordination and developing motor skills. Can you address that a little bit?
Have you seen most of the video games the kids are playing these days? I mean, if you want them to be educated in, killing other people, but just kidding. That's what a lot of, there are some things, like there are some computer programs that are somewhat educational, and for some kids we recommend those, even like if they're having a learning issue and you want to get them a computer program to do a certain amount of. But I think, most of the time when kids are going and playing these things, they're not choosing the educational ones. There's a little eye-hand coordination stuff that may be good, but overall, again, limiting it to an hour a day, they're gonna have plenty. And if they never do it, they can get, obviously you can get fine motor coordination from getting outside and doing certain exercises and stuff too. So certainly people don't need video games or TV or any of those things.
Well, thank you so much. Next time we will be talking a little bit about fever and learning how to keep our kids safe from being sick.
A fever, no matter how high, is actually not dangerous to your child. So you really don't need to panic. It's actually best not to panic, of course, always.